Hello guys, so welcome back to the Life in Life YouTube channel. I'm very excited to have you here. My name is Jonathan Thu, and what we discuss here is basically things to do with life, advice, different perspectives, and the lessons that we learn from life. So this is a platform for us to have curious conversations and for us to be able to document certain lessons that we get in life and certain experiences that we get in life and try just to make some sense out of it. So my name is Jonathan Thu and I'll be the host of this particular YouTube channel. Today is that we are having episode two of Life in Life, where we're talking about our first topic. And our first topic is self-love. So I know this is a very mushy topic, but also something that we have now grown accustomed to hearing about from different places. But I'm very excited. I'm very excited to be here with you today. And what I want to discuss, our very first topic, episode two. Episode one was the introduction. If you haven't checked it out, please do. You'll understand why we have this platform and what we're doing here and why we are actually I'm creating this platform for us to have these conversations and what is the goal of it. Now we're having episode two, and episode two is about us, it's about self love. So I really wanted to start from somewhere very familiar and somewhere which is accessible to everyone, and this is us, our relationship with ourselves. And that is why today I'm talking about self love. So let's get into it. So, what is self love? Self love is defined as love of self or love for self. So, how do you love yourself? How do you give yourself love? How do you give yourself your flowers? So, that's very important for us to consider. So, it's defined as your consideration for happiness. That is what self love is defined as. If you go online to Wikipedia, that is what self love is defined as. Your consideration or consideration for your own happiness, which is very important. So, my own personal definition of self love is how do you, what activities do you partake that breathe or pour life into your own life? I don't know whether that makes sense. So, what activities do you engage in that actually give you life, that recharge your batteries, that make you feel happy, that make you feel loved, that make you feel honored, even if it's by yourself? So, that's very important. And that's how I define self love. What do you do for yourself? What do you do to improve on yourself, to pour into your own cup? That is what I consider as self love. So, today we'll be talking about self love and why is self-love very important, and we're going to get there. But even before we get there, the reason why we are having this particular conversation is because I've come to realize that it's very, very difficult for most of us to love ourselves. And the reason for this, I have come to realize, is because we don't particularly like ourselves as much as we think we do. And it's a very harsh realization to come into, but it's also one realization that is very necessary for us to actually realize, so that we can see how we can make amends. Okay. So I remember, oh God, I have got stories. Got stories for days, but I'm just going to mention that there's a time that a relationship that I was in ended. And there's something very significant that the lady said before we parted ways. And this is something that I'm going to actually mention within, in a few minutes, within the coming, what are they called? Notes. I've got notes. So within the coming, within this conversation, we're going to talk about that. But basically, she said that you might not be equipped for this particular relationship because you do not love yourself enough to receive love. Yes. So when you're talking about self-love, you might be wondering, okay, so why do I need this? Why is it important to me? Why do I need to be so concerned? Why do I need to be so intentional about doing these things? Because then again, if you're waiting for at self love to happen, if you're waiting at you know what? I'll just feel self love like next week on Saturday. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. If you're just waiting for it to happen, then oh my friend, shock on your face. It's not just going to like just happen like that. You have to be really intentional, and that is what something that I've come to realize, that you've got to be extra intentional with self-love. You've got to go the extra mile to plan, to be intentional with what exactly you want to do, with the activities that you want to partake in, and how those make you feel, and even the accountability after, just going through it and saying, okay, so I went swimming. How did I really feel about that? Was that self-love? Did I take care of myself? Did I have time to myself? Those aspects. So essentially, one of the most important things about self love, even before we get into why it's so difficult for us to love ourselves, one of the most important things about self love is that it's important for you to pour into your own cup. Because if your cup is lacking, number one, it will be very difficult for you to love others. And number two, it will be very difficult for you to accept love. Yes. It will be very difficult for you to accept love. So we're having this conversation with a friend actually earlier this week, or late last week, because now it's the beginning of another week, and we're having this conversation with a friend, and I remember part of that conversation went like, it's very difficult for you to love yourself, for you to accept love if you do not love yourself, because we have been cultured into a society that has really prioritized us being in a community and us being selfless and giving to others. And some of us have embodied that nature so much that we give so much. We are so used to giving that receiving feels foreign. And so we have become the best, the best. So that's the interesting thing. So sometimes you might not have given yourself self love, and you might not actually be good at giving other people their flowers and their love. But sometimes you might actually be very good at giving other people their love and their flowers, but you're not good at giving it to yourself, which is very important, because you might be giving it to your parents, you might be giving it to your siblings, you might be giving it to your relatives, you might be giving it to your friends, you might be giving it to your romantic partner, and so many other people, right? It's so easy for you to be kind, to be conscious, to be loving to other people, but it's very difficult for you to do that to yourself. And the impact that brings forth is that you're very good at giving but not good at receiving. You're so good at giving love that you become bad at receiving it, right? Because you don't give it to yourself. So whenever someone else gives you love, then you just cringe. You say, what's this? What's this? This is not familiar. This is not familiar, man. This is not familiar to me. This is not familiar to this space that I'm in. I am not used to receiving this. And so you become a very good giver, but a terrible receiver of love. So it's very important for you to love yourself, because it is in that particular nature of loving yourself that you accept the idea of being loved, first of all, as a human being, and number two, you accept the idea of others loving you. And the reason why this is such a significant thing for you to have is because it's so difficult for you to live in a world where you don't think you deserve love. And that in itself is an aspect of self-love, because if you do not love yourself, you do not give yourself that capacity to feel like you deserve it. You do not give yourself that capacity to feel like you're validated to have love, to receive love, to be loved the way that probably you want to be loved, or maybe even that hasn't crossed your mind. Like, how do I want to be loved? How do I like to be loved? So it's very important for us to start with self-love, because that is the script, that is the SI unit that will help other people understand, number one, how do we like to be loved? Number two, are we ready for that love? Right? And number three, then this is something important that we treasure and that we value. Because if you do not love yourself, other people will not value that. Other people will not see the importance of loving you if you don't love yourself. And the thing that makes loving yourself very difficult is something that I've come to realize, that as human beings, this is a big generalization, right? So it might apply to everyone, it may not apply to everyone. So as human beings, we really do not particularly like ourselves. We don't like ourselves, and it has a lot to do with our nature as human beings. So let me give you this example. So think about it this way. Even from the onset, from if you go the biblical way, since Adam and Eve, the times of Adam and Eve, what happened when Adam and Eve actually ate the forbidden fruit? And guys, this is not particularly a spiritual. This is not particularly that type of podcast, guys. We're just unpacking that from a biblical perspective. So when Adam and Eve particularly ate the forbidden fruit, there's something that changed. They got what is called consciousness. And this is the point, as described in the Bible, that Adam realized, "Ooh, snap, man, woo, we're just swinging this thing around. We need to cover it up." We need to cover this thing up. And Eve was also like, "Ooh, I've been showing people these goods that need to be private." I've been showing people these goods that need to be private. I need to dress the hell up. I am naked as hell. I'm showing people nudes. I'm showing people nudes, man. I'm naked. So that in itself was the onset of consciousness, understanding your nakedness, right? And that goes beyond just the physical attribute of you understanding that, oh my God, I don't have clothes on. And it blends into the idea of you as a human being being conscious enough to understand your own faults, to understand your own vulnerabilities, to understand your own weaknesses. And it transforms from that to you as a human being. Now that you know your weaknesses, now that you know your faults, now that you know your vulnerabilities of being naked, you then understand the vulnerabilities of other people, other human beings like you. So you understand your own faults, you understand how you can be hurt, you understand how you can be vulnerable. You also understand the same thing for other human beings because you guys are alike. So you understand how you can be hurt, you also understand how you can hurt other people. That in itself is the aspect of consciousness. And we have grown within that particular perspective to get to a point where we don't particularly like ourselves, and it's weighing very heavily on our conscience. Is it conscious or conscious? Oh, conscience. Now I'm thinking about someone else, but anyway, you get the idea. So think about it this way, from this perspective. A cat is a carnivore, a dog is a carnivore. They both have to eat to survive. And how do they go about the activity of procuring their food? They have to kill, right? So they kill to eat to live. They basically understand that concept. If you've watched Nat Geo, or you've watched any nature documentaries about maybe animals in the savannah or in Masai Mara, wherever, you understand that concept of animals understanding that they need to kill to eat, survive if they're carnivores. So essentially, that's not a pretty process, by the way. If you look at a cat hunting and killing, look at a dog hunting and killing lions, leopards, cheetahs, wild dogs, hyenas. Hyenas. If you look at how these animals particularly go about that process of hunting and killing and eating, it's not a pretty process, honestly. It's not a pretty process. But here's the interesting part. When a cat kills a rat to eat it, it never has to deal with the weight of the consciousness of taking the life of that rat. But we as human beings, blessed as we are with this consciousness, it also comes with its own set of advantages and disadvantages as a gift, right? So now we are conscious. Now we have consciousness above the cat or above the dog or above the lion. We understand ourselves, we understand others, and we understand how we fit within this particular space that we are in, which is a rock that is flying through space. So we understand all this, but now plowing it back is we also understand the weight of our existence, which is something that has been brought about by consciousness. So we understand, for example, that we might want to eat. No, we might want to kill a chicken to eat it so that we can live. We need to eat to live. But what we eat is also very important. So, for example, we may decide that, hey man, I love chicken, I love beef, I love goat meat or pork. And for you to eat those things, for you to live, you need to take a life. But now, unlike the cat or the dog that takes a life without understanding the weight of what it has done, now you take a life and you understand the weight of what you've done, right? And so now we live in a space where you feel guilty and you feel the weight of the reality of the consciousness of the action that you've taken to survive. So right now we are bothered by, for example, climate change. Right now we are bothered by the idea of killing animals as a way for us to get food. We have even people who are championing the idea that animals should not be killed. We have people who are championing the idea that they want to live a lifestyle where they do not consume any animal products. We have people championing the idea that it is very immoral for us to kill and take lives just for our own satisfaction. And this in itself is an example of a physical manifestation of how we are carrying the weight of existence through our consciousness. And this in itself is making us realize all these malicious activities that we are doing, either consciously or unconsciously, to exist. And even beyond that, now we are understanding that there are human beings who know other people's vulnerability. We now know that there are human beings that, through understanding themselves, understand other people's vulnerabilities, and they take the advantage to be malicious for no reason. Like, these people are just bad for the sake of being bad, right? And they hurt people for the sake of hurting people. And it's a harsh realization, because then you come to realize that as human beings, how messed up we are, right? And that in itself weighs you down mentally, right? And even in the Bible, it's now restructured in a way that shows us how unfitting we are to exist as a species. And now we are here telling ourselves that we are, for example, within the biblical concept as well, we are sinful beings. We are messed up beings. We are beings that don't deserve even the love of a supreme being. We are beings that have sinned against the concept of existence, the whole energy that brought us into existence. We have sinned against it for the basic fact of existence, for how we live our lives. We are sinful in nature. We have fallen short of God's glory. We do not deserve God's love. We are just, we are in the pits. Whatever we get is because someone is being merciful, right? And it's very important for us to be very cognizant of this particular idea, because it's something, by the way, that I really never thought deeply into until we had this conversation with a friend, and I was like, this particular thing is a type of programming that we are getting into, and religion is programming us into this. And it's not that I have something against religion, and that being said, still I feel like it's very important for us to watch the type of programming that you're getting into our lives, right? Whether that is coming from religion or from our environment or from our workplace or wherever it's coming from. It's very important for us to be aware of the type of programming that we're getting into. So we have now gotten into that programming where we are less than. We do not deserve anything good, by the way. We are just sinful beings. We have fallen short of any level of glory. We have fallen short of any level of deserving love. And in itself, this has not just stopped from the aspect of religion, but it has also diffused into other areas of our lives, where we're just like, yeah, you know what? I don't think I deserve love here. I don't think I deserve love there. And it's very evident, because it's it's through awareness that you get to see this little act, this little heinous act of you persecuting yourself from giving yourself love. So, for example, I'll give you an example. So, going out on a date, or going out with for example, just to go with someone, maybe you're in a romantic situation with, you would go out, you'd meet with them, and for most guys it would just be like, I've really enjoyed your company. So if we are living wherever we were at together and we are going home together, for most for most guys, for example, getting an Uber or a taxi to go home with when you're with your partner is something that you not even think twice about. It's something that would be so automatic. You just be like, yeah, so let's head home. Yeah, let me call the Uber and then we head home, right? But if you are alone, if you are heading home alone, would you actually take that Uber? Would you actually do it for yourself? Would you be like, you know what, I'm alone, let me take this Uber, man? Because I have realized, even in my own experience, that I would not take that Uber. But if I was by myself, to Panda Matatu, let's jump. Why would we waste money? Why? You know? But why would you consider that when you're with someone else and not consider it for yourself? And that is a very keen thing and perspective that you have to get into for you to understand your own activities and activities of betrayal that you're doing to yourself, right? So why would you do for other people things that you would not do for yourself? Why? Why? Why would you take your dinner date or your lunch date to Art Cafe or Java or all these good places that we go to, and you would not take yourself there? If you're in town, for example, if you're in Nairobi and you're feeling hungry and you're by yourself and you're just heading home, Sanford and whatever, fish and chips. But if you're with someone and you're out on a date and you're going for lunch or dinner and you're grabbing something to eat, you would never go to those places, those dingy places. So why would you take yourself there, and why would you not take other people there, right? So then it begs the question, then, do we have double standards? Do we treat people better than we actually treat ourselves, right? And that's a very important thing, because that now boils back to the idea of you are really good at giving love, but you're not good at receiving it. You're not good at receiving it because you're not even giving it to yourself. You are discriminating against yourself when it comes to receiving love, right? So, how would it be easy for you to get love from other people? You subliminally do not like yourself. You subliminally have been taught to hate yourself. You subconsciously hate yourself and you torment yourself every single day. And think about it even from the voice in your head. How does the voice in your head speak to you? How do you speak to yourself? Because that is your voice. And now, coming into the golden rule of what you need to do to be able to nurture self-love for your own self is, would you speak the way you speak to yourself to people that you loved and cared about? So you know that voice that is in your head where you say something in a particular conversation and you're like, ooh, you say that, really? That's dumb, man. Hey man, umetuangushia points. That gangster points just you know, those things that you do and it's like, oh my god, that was really dumb. Why did I text him? Why did I text her? Oh my god, that was really dumb. What did I just really say? That was stupid. What did I just really do? You know, you speak to yourself with such harshness, and you would never speak to other people that you love and care about like that. So why are you doing that to yourself? Right? Why are you doing that to yourself? Why are you being so negative to yourself? And that now plows back to the idea that we do not particularly like ourselves. And that is like the default setting. So now we need to go over and above to change that narrative and to love ourselves and to pour into our own lives. And that's why it's very important for you to nurture and grow self-love. Because in this day and age, okay, there's a lot of clout that is going around that, oh, you need to love yourself. Self-love is important. But do we really understand the importance of you loving yourself the way that you deserve to love yourself. Why do we need to do all this? Why do we need to do skincare? Why do we need to go out and just meditate or go for a walk and all those things? Why do we need to do that? And it's because the default setting has been set against us, according to my perspective and according to the space that I am in right now. I see that the default setting has been set against us. As human beings, we carry the guilt of existence through our consciousness. That is one of the disadvantages of having this consciousness. We carry the guilt of existence, and it's heavy. It's heavy. Do you think cows really right now are concerned about global warming? Do you think chickens are concerned about the rising sea levels? Right? They're not. They're just living their best life. But we are here carrying the guilt of what other human beings are doing within this particular world that we live in. And even it's not us, even sometimes it's other people. And we are carrying that communal guilt, we are carrying that communal weight of existence. And that is what consciousness has brought about. So there's some aspect to how we are constituted that makes us not love ourselves from the onset. So now it's very important for us to be very intentional and aware about what we do and how we can actually give ourselves love. For us to grow to a space where, number one, we can accept love from other people, and number two, we can treat ourselves with dignity, which is very important. I think those numbers should have been the other way around, like number one, treat yourself with dignity, and then number two, accept love from other people. But it's very important for us to be in a space where we appreciate ourselves, where we love ourselves, where we grow within ourselves enough to accept things from other people like love and all that, right? Because it would be a very miserable life that you'd live if you are not able to accept love from other people, and if you are not able even to accept love from your own point of view. You can imagine living up to 90 and then on your deathbed you're just like, wow, I never accepted love. I never felt love. I never felt it. And as beings that have been for the longest time existing within communities, love is something very primal and important to us. So you might be saying that, oh, you know what, we're in the streets, we're in the ghettos, but love is not important to us. But in true sense, love is very important. I think love is very important to everyone, honestly. There's some sense of validation, there's some sense of comfort and security, there's some sense of acceptance that comes with love. And it's very important for us to be in a space where we can actually get this love and nurture it, right? So if you like a flower, you pluck it. If you love a flower, you water it. So how are we watering our own selves? And that is through love, right? So it's very important for us to be in a space where we can get love and we can grow within that love that we are getting, whether from ourselves or from other people. And we particularly live again in a society that has really solidified or concretized the idea that we really need to be just dishing out love, just dish out love, just give love to other people. But it has not shown the importance of loving yourself, right? So again, going the biblical way, there's an equation that says, sorry, there's a quote that says, love yourself as you love your neighbor as you love yourself, right? Love your neighbor as you love yourself. And I heard someone talk about this particular verse in depth, and it just evoked a new perspective in me, right? So this particular speaker was talking about love your neighbor as you love yourself, not being a law and not being a rule, rather being an equation. Like, do you love others? Do you love yourself to the extent that you love others? So that crush of yours who you take to at cafe, that love of yours who you speak really nicely to, that parent of yours who you really speak kindly to, that kid that you have or that sibling that you have who you are really conscious and aware of how you communicate with them and you do it in a very good way, do you do that for yourself? You love you because we are now in a situation where we tend to love our neighbor more than we love ourselves, right? You sacrifice so much to give love to other people, yet you do not give yourself that love in equal measure. And why are you doing that? So I'm now restructuring how I see that particular verse of love your neighbor as you love yourself as an equation. Or like, kama nakununulia KFC, I also deserve to buy myself KFC. If I am taking an Uber for us together, I should also be comfortable with the idea of taking an Uber for myself, just by myself. If I'm comfortable enough to go out with you and have drinks somewhere, then I should be comfortable also with the idea of going out by myself and having drinks by myself. If I'm comfortable with the idea of buying you flowers and chocolate and food, I should also be comfortable with the idea of buying myself flowers and chocolate and food. So it's an equation. It's an equation that helps us to balance. It's an equation that helps us to balance this particular thing, this particular activity of giving love. And this is why it's so important. And so the golden rule. So where is this golden rule coming from? So there's a speaker that I got introduced to thanks to Mantalk KE. I am giving this podcast flowers because honestly, it has helped me grow exponentially in terms of awareness, in terms of my understanding of the world and myself and other people. So it's Oscar D. Come, one of the hosts on Mantalk KE, who talked about Jordan B. Peterson. And I went to listen to Jordan B. Peterson, and my life has never been the same again. To be honest, my life has never been the same again. So Jordan Peterson has a book called The 12 Rules for Life, and I'm just going to give you a small snippet. I hope I will not be going against what is it called? Infringement policies when I say this, but so one of the rules among the 12 rules for life by Jordan B. Peterson is treat yourself as if you are someone you are responsible for caring for. Is that correct English? This is very incorrect. I'm sorry. My English teacher from primary, I'm sorry. I am butchering this thing. Yeah, so treat yourself like you are someone you're responsible for caring for. So, for example, if you are let's say you have your parent coming over to stay with you, or you have your sibling coming over to stay with you, or you're taking care of your loved one, there's a certain level of care that you would give them, right? So treat yourself like you're that person. Treat yourself like you're responsible for caring for yourself. Like you're someone who you'd care for, like your family member or your sibling or your romantic partner or your friends. How are you caring for them? Care for yourself with that same measure. So treat yourself as if you're someone you're responsible for caring for. That is one of the rules among the 12 rules for life. And that is the golden rule for me. Treat yourself as if you're responsible for caring for yourself, right? So even the way that you talk to yourself, when you have that voice in your head and it's telling you those negative things, would you talk to your mother like that? Would you talk to your father like that? Would you talk to your sibling like that? Would you talk to your romantic partner like that? Would you talk to your friends like that? You would not. So then find ways to be aware and find ways to pull that out of your own methodology of living, because that is not how you would care for someone else that that is not how you would care for someone who you are responsible for caring for. So also be responsible for caring for yourself and treat yourself in equal measure to how you treat your friends, to how you treat your family, to how you treat other people within that same measure, right? So that's the golden rule, and I really love it because it now helps me to understand that there are certain things, and it's very difficult for you to say that, oh, you know what, I'm not going to say eat from dingy places anymore, or oh, you know what, I'm not going to make myself suffer anymore. But by understanding that you are responsible for caring for you as you would care for someone else that you loved, which is very important, then that helps you even identify other places where it's not the negative side, but it's the positive side. Like, okay, so why would I buy this person gifts and I'm not buying myself gifts, right? Why would I buy this person shoes and I have not bought shoes in like a whole year for myself? I have been wearing one pair of shoes like, these of you to me choker, man. I just like, we are done. We are retired. They have not even seen a year, and they have trekked. They have walked for miles and miles and miles, and you're here just gifting other people mzingas and nini and nini and nini and nini. You're buying people other things, but you would not feel comfortable giving yourself that particular type of love, right? So, for example, you have money in your bank. It's not a lot, or it is a lot, but you are not feeling comfortable with treating yourself. So you have a little amount of money left, and you're just like, okay, so I have my needs, and there's a friend who's asking me for a loan somewhere, just to support them, and then they'll be okay. And you would rather give your friend that money than invest it in yourself. And that is a really, it's a really hard fact to come to, because now you understand that you're not treating yourself with the same measure of value and care that you're treating other people. And it's very important for you to correct that, right? So a world where you do not love yourself looks like a world where you do not accept love, first of all, from other people, because you're just cringing at the idea of like, why are you buying me gifts? Why are you taking me out? This is so weird. Why are you bringing me these things? I don't even gift myself, so why would I accept your own gift? Why are you taking me out and you're paying? Like, I'm not used to this. Why are you doing this? What's your intention? What? And now you start going down that spiral, and you do not understand that it's because you do not love yourself enough to accept love from other people. Sorry, someone has just decided that yeah, it's about that time that they set their music system high. So I apologize for the a small um interruption that you might hear in the audio, right? So essentially, a world where you do not love yourself, first of all, is filled with a lot of anxiety, because you are struggling to navigate the world in a space where you do not even accept yourself. So you are living in a world where you do not accept yourself enough to love yourself, and you do not, that means that you don't even accept yourself at all. So even beyond the idea that you're just okay, so I have been taught that this is not the body type that is attractive to people. I have been taught that this is not the facial structure that is attractive to people. I have been taught that this voice is not attractive to people. I have been taught that these eyes are not attractive to people. So my whole existence has been people telling me that, oh, you're not good enough, you're not looking good enough, you're not sexy enough, you're not attractive enough, you're not all these things enough. And now you're at a space where you're not even telling yourself that you're enough. You're actually telling yourself that you're also not enough. So there's a lot of anxiety within that space. There's a lot of depression within that space. There's a lot of negative emotions and feelings that are within that space. And it's very important for you now to come into that space of realization that, ooh, there's a lot that I need to change. And that is now where I plug in that particular conversation that this particular lady had with me when we were breaking up. And she was like, I do not think that are you are breaking up with me, or we are breaking up with each other because you do not like this situation enough to help it grow. I think that we are breaking up with each other because you do not accept this love that you're getting, and this is because you don't love yourself enough to feel like you deserve this love. And that was just like, you don't love yourself enough to feel like you deserve the love that you're getting in this relationship, and that's why it's not working. And this is something that so many people are going through, to be honest. You do not love yourself enough to be in a situation where accepting love. And it's a very difficult world to live in when you are within that particular space of mindset. So this is why loving yourself is very important. So now let's move into how to love yourself. How to love yourself. So we're not just going to talk about, oh, self-love, how it's important, and we not talk about loving yourself. So how do you actually love yourself? So I break this down into different aspects of our lives, right? Because then again, life is not just one dimensional. Life is very subjective from where you're sitting, and also it has very many facets. So within loving yourself, I have four particular facets. That I really am concerned about when it comes to self-love. The first one is physical. How do you love yourself physically? The second one is mentally. Excuse me. The second one is mentally. How do you love yourself within your own mind? Number three, or how do you take care of your own mind and mental health and all that? Number three is emotionally. How do you love yourself emotionally? And how do you take care of yourself emotionally? And number four is spiritually. How do you take care of your spirit and your soul? Are those the same thing? I think so. So how do you take care of that being that is really you, right? So let's start with physical self-love. How do you love yourself physically? So first things first, loving yourself physically looks like you getting into a mental space where you're like, if I don't like the way that I look and I don't do anything about it, then I'm choosing. If you don't like the way that you look and you do nothing about it, then you're choosing to remain within that stagnation, right? You're choosing that. You're choosing to be the way that you are, that is something that you do not like, right? So if you don't like the way that you look, then work on it, improve it. You have the power and the capacity to be able to improve on that. If that means going to the gym, if that means taking a walk, if that means going for a run, if that means doing things differently, then it's very important for you to get to that space where you're improving upon yourself, right? And it's a process. It's a process. You're not just going to wake up one day and you're just like, oh, now my tummy has transformed into a six pack because I don't think that I really like this tummy that was here, right? I'm not saying that it's bad to have whatever type of body. What is important is, do you accept the type of body that you have? And number two, are you living in a way that helps you or gears you towards living a longer, more prosperous life, which is very important. So there are so many things that we engage in from this perspective of us hating ourselves. There are so many self-destructive habits and activities that we pursue and we get into, and we know we are hurting ourselves. It's not helping you to drink as much as you do. It's not helping you to smoke as much as you do. It's not helping you to to bash yourself as much as you do, even in your own head, in your own mental space. It's not helping you to treat yourself the way that you do. It's not healthy for you to eat the way that you're eating, the way that you have maybe irregular eating patterns, you have yourself binging on food, you're particularly binging on unhealthy food. It's not sustainable for you, honestly. It's not sustainable the way that you're sleeping. You're sleeping irregularly, you're sleeping less than you need to, you are not resting enough, you are overworking yourself. It's not sustainable, it's not healthy, it's not good for you, right? And all these are things that you might actually get addicted to because there's a certain pain that you're trying to run away from. So all our forms of addiction are a way for us to hide from dealing with certain pain. It's a form of escapism, right? So think about you being addicted to your work, think about you being addicted to drugs, think about you being addicted to certain activities that are not good for you, think about you being addicted to even sex, man. So you're addicted to these things because maybe you're trying to run away from something and run away from certain negative feelings. And these things that you're doing to escape are not really growing you. They're not good for you. They're in the long term, they're not decisions that compound to your advantage or compound positively, right? And you're doing this because you do not particularly like yourself, and we've already covered that. You do not feel like you're deserving of better things. So if you're in a physical state, within your physical state, you feel like, I do not like how I look, I do not like how I eat, I do not like how I work, I do not like how all these things, then it's very okay for you to start now shifting into what you like. And it's very important. It's one of the aspects of self-love. So if that is fitness, start working out. If you don't like how you look, and you think that maybe working out would help you look better, start working out. If you don't like the way that you eat and you feel like, maybe if I had a meal plan that would help me to be more intentional with eating healthier stuff, then yeah, get a meal plan, eat better. And diet is not just about like, oh, now I'm going to starve myself. Diet is just about eating healthily towards the goals that you have set for yourself. So, for example, if you know that you're going to work the whole day, is it fair for you to wake up in the morning and not eat anything? Where is the energy that you're going to expense coming from, right? If you know that you're going to have an all-nighter, is it okay for you to just not drink any water? Is it okay for you to just run around Nairobi in this hot sun and not drink any water? Is that good for you? Is it good for your skin? Is it good for your body? Is it good for you to engage in certain physical habits that do not compound positively in the future? So it's very important in your physicality. How are you physically improving upon yourself? How are you physically giving yourself love? And one of the ways is I love to do is skincare, man, because I feel like if I look good, I feel good, and it really helps. So skincare is one of the ways that you can physically love yourself. Fitness is one of the ways that you can also physically love yourself, going to the gym, working out. And it even doesn't have to be going to the gym, man. Fitness can be even just waking up in the morning and doing 5 sit-ups and going about your day. It can be going for a walk. It can be jogging. It can be yani, we have concretized fitness to fit in a gym, and for it to be a punishment, instead of seeing it from an open-minded perspective, where fitness can be me even cleaning the house because now I'm moving around. Fitness can be me leaving the car at home so that at least I can walk for some distance today. Fitness can be you avoiding the lift and taking the stairs. Fitness can, those nitty-gritty small things. And it's very important for you to be aware so that you can be able to do them intentionally. So yeah, self-care for physical attributes, that can be gifting yourself, it can be yoga, it can be going for a spa treatment, it can be going for a massage, a facial, manicure, pedicure, and these are not just things for women, right? So self-care isn't isn't gender specific, or gender biased, and this is actually the this is the murder ini murder this is the topic of this particular um episode, because we have been cultured to think that things like manicures, pedicures, things like going to the spa, things like, those aspects of physical self love are for women only, right? Or self love in itself is feminine. But I want to help us to move from that idea that, oh, kujipenda ni vitu za madem, or it's feminine, or it's nini. My guy, skincare is for everyone. Skincare is for you too, man, because your skin, imagine your skin is the biggest body part, it's the biggest organ that you have within your body, right? And so you're out here in the sun, you don't have sunscreen, you don't ever do a facial scrub, you don't protect yourself, you don't take care of yourself, and you're here saying that, oh, this is for other people. You're going to get to your 30s and you're just looking at your skin and you're just like, oh my god, when did I start looking like I'm 50? Right? Because that's the other thing. If I may go the skincare route, just go deeper into it. One thing that I learned about skin when I was working in a cosmetic company is that for Africans, or for people with dark skin, we have a lot of melanin. And this does not mean that just because we can't see, for example, how we're getting sunburns and all that, that you're not getting them, right? And you're not damaging our skin. You see, for example, with white people, when they're in the sun too long, they'll get the sunburn and they'll be able to see it, right? For example, for me, I'll not be able to see that I have a sunburn, right? And I'll not be aware that I need to protect myself with sunscreen when I'm going out, right? But the thing is, how does that compound again in the future? So someone told me that for Africans more so, I'm talking about Africans to refer to people who have darker skin and more melanin. So you might be from another culture, but also you have darker skin, and it's okay. Do not feel like just I've secluded this just to people in Africa. Yeah, no. If you have darker skin, then you tend to realize that the effects of nature might not be so visible, but in the long run, they become visible. Does that make sense? So you might not be seeing how every single day you're getting a little bit sunburnt when you're going out and all that. And then you get to your 30s and your 40s and your 50s, and then you're just like, oh my God, my skin has just done that thing, right? So your skin is actually getting damaged as much as other people who are, for example, white are getting sunburn, as much as their skin is getting damaged within the same environment, right? But it's only that you do not notice your own damage until later on. So this is why it's very important for you to take care of yourself. And for me, I love skincare because it does make me feel good about myself. It does make me like what I see in the mirror. And that has been a way for me to physically love myself. So do not conform to the idea that, oh, at going to get a facial scrub is just for women, at going to the spa is just for women. You guys, take yourself out. That is important. Self-love. Again, why are you paying for your woman to go to the spa and you're not going yourself? Why? And it's not that at now you'll go there and come out as a woman. No, it's important to you as well, and it's beneficial to you as well, and it compounds well even in the long run, right? So it's very important for you to do that. And I don't think that self-care is feminine. It's something for all of us to be able to enjoy and to take on. Number two, mentally. So try to love yourself physically daily. Do an act of physical self-love every single day. That can be going to the gym, that can be drinking water, that can be eating healthier, that can be you doing self-care or skincare. Yeah, so those are some of the aspects that you can be able to, and it's, the list is endless. The list is endless, to be honest. So what other methods of physical self-care do? Feel free to add that in the comments. We'd love to know more, right? So let's go into the mental aspect. So mental health and self-love. So how do you love yourself within your mental space? Number one, how are you taking care of the pressure that you're exposed to every single day? So how are you just calming yourself down? How are you dealing with the pressures of life? That's very important. So do you meditate? Do you go out for walks? Do you have your own personal time to just ruminate over what is going on in your life and seeing the different decisions that you've taken and analyzing where you are at and all that? Do you take time for yourself, right? Because I feel like in this very busy world where we are we are more distracted than we have ever been, it feels very empty sometimes to just be within your own space. You feel like there's so many responsibilities that I should be doing. There's so many things that I could be doing. Like I could be playing a game on my phone. I could be chatting with someone. I could be on a certain platform that I'm communicating with other people. I could be sending an email. I could be watching something on Netflix or Showmax. I could be doing so many things, right? But it's very important, I would say, for you to take time to just be still, just be you within your own space, and just think, and just let your thought process flow. It's very important. Whether that is through meditation, whether that is through you taking time off and just sleeping or journaling or doing that, whatever you're doing, it's very important. Whether it's through affirmations, it's very important. So different ways for you to love yourself within your mental space. That you can do affirmations, you can journal, you can speak to someone, maze, talking to friends and people who are actually close to you and care about you really helps you to decompress from certain situations and environments that you've encountered and been in. It's a way for you to unpack, right? You can also talk to a therapist, you can also talk to loved ones. It's very important. So these are some of the aspects of helping yourself mentally. And also, consuming new information is very important, because I came to learn that every single day, about 80 or 90% of the thoughts that you have are from the day before. And you can imagine again, so today 80% of my thoughts are from yesterday. Yesterday 80% of the thoughts are from the other day. 80% of that the thoughts from the day before yesterday are from now it's like a continuous process. So you can imagine if I came across something that disturbed me 2 weeks ago, those thoughts can still be moving with me every single day up to today if I don't change my thought process. So it's very important for you to expose yourself to an environment where you're getting new information so that you're elevating your level of thoughts. That's why it's so important for you to read, for you to listen to podcasts, for you to listen to YouTube channels that are edifying, not just like, that the content that is just like, well, I didn't really need to know that. I didn't really need to know that. Like, I didn't really need to know that. That's not. It's entertaining, but it's not uplifting. It's entertaining, but it's not elevating, right? So it's very important for you to listen and to consume information that will elevate you mentally. Whether that is, if you like, self development books, whether that is you listening to podcasts, whether that is you're consuming new information that now every single day the 80% of thoughts are being improved upon by new information. So tomorrow you'll be consuming like 40% of the thoughts, okay, 80% of the thoughts from yesterday, but they are new thoughts. There's new information, and you're not just re, 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 is it regurgitating? Oh my god. English is hard. English is hard. So you're not just regurgitating. You're not redigesting things that are not beneficial for you. So you had politics news last week. It has just been there over and over and over again. You're just thinking, oh, what world do we live in? Every single morning you wake up and you're still like, oh, what world do we live in? Oh, what world do we live in? Oh, what are these politicians doing? And this is news you had 2-3 weeks ago, right? So it's very important for you now to expose yourself to new information, to new content, so that now you think better thoughts, you think new thoughts, and you think elevating thoughts, so that you can continuously improve upon yourself. So this is another thing again. People have really demonized self-development to some extent, of like, self-development is really, it's for a select few, right? It has been categorized as something for a select few. You really need to be like a mashi person for you to be like aware, and for you to be like concerned with self-development. But it's really important for every single person to develop themselves and to develop within their own space so that they can become a better human being. I think if you're not learning, and this is a quote I had, that if you're not learning, you're dying, man. So mentally, do something for yourself every single day. Do something that elevates you mentally every single day. Whether that is reading a book, whether that is taking breathing exercises, whether that is taking a walk, whether that is listening to music, whether that is affirmations, journaling, talking to a friend. There are so many ways that you can be able to mentally love yourself, not comparing yourself to other people, taking time to really love yourself and just like recognize and speak life into your own personality and person, right? Number 3, how do you love yourself emotionally? So how do you accept yourself, and how do you give yourself your flowers, right? So it's very important for you again to be aware of that voice in your head that is making you feel some type of way. And it's very important now for you to be aware and just be like, oh no, that's not me. I would not talk to someone I love like this, so I'm not going to accept this particular type of conversation within my own space, right? Within my own head or my own heart or anything. So give yourself love emotionally. Laugh, rest, do things that charge you up, right? Do things that make you feel happy. Do things that make you feel relaxed, that make you feel appreciated, that make you feel amazing every single day. So try to do something that makes you feel loved. I may not have a lot of examples of how you can love yourself emotionally. So please, if you have examples of how you do that, please feel free to share in the comments as well, comment section as well. Yeah, but I really think that it's important to speak to yourself positively. That's one way for you to give yourself love mentally and emotionally. Number 2, communicate your emotions. Validate your emotions. If you like someone and you're just here like, I don't really think that nini, oh, this is simping and nini and nini and nini, no, validate your emotions. If you validate your emotions and you feel them through that particular space that you're in, then that gives you the capacity to know that, okay, so this is how I feel, and it's okay to feel this way for this particular time that I'll be feeling this way, and then we'll feel another way. That's okay. That's very okay, because again, in this world where we are so individualistic to an extent where we do not feel comfortable sharing our own emotions, we have become so, we have put our walls up there, and it's very difficult for us to be vulnerable even with our own selves. It's very difficult for us to be like, okay, so I do like this guy, okay, so I do like this job, okay, so I don't like this job, okay, so I really feel exhausted when I do this, and I don't like doing this anymore, or I actually don't like doing this, why do I keep doing it, right? So validate your emotions. If you like something, be honest with yourself. If you don't like something, be honest with yourself, because it is only through that honesty that you can improve upon yourself. So love yourself emotionally. Every single day, try to find something that you can do for yourself emotionally. That can be, again, affirmations. They make you feel like a certain type of way. They make you feel better. They make you feel good. If it's listening to music, that can also be emotional for you. It helps you feel good. It makes you feel loved. It makes you feel happy, right? So do something that makes you feel good every single day. And then lastly, how do you take care of your spirit and your soul? How are you growing spiritually? It's very important. And it's also important for us to know the difference between spirituality and religion, because these are two completely different things. Spirituality and religion, that's a whole other podcast episode that we're going to talk about. But yeah, just be true to your own soul and your own spirit. How are you growing your own soul and your own spirit? How are you connecting yourself to something that is bigger than you? How are you feeling like you're part of a community? How are you feeling like you are doing something that is making you alive? Right? How are you feeling like, oh God, today I really lived? Like, Yani, if I was to go tomorrow, God forbid, I know that today I did something that made me feel alive, 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 alive. So maybe you can explore your creative talents. Maybe you can do something that you said that you wanted to do but have never done before. Maybe you can go do for like, let's say, learning how to ride a motorcycle, and you can just be going out on rides, you can be doing that thing, and it just makes you, yani, when you're coming from that experience, you're just feeling full. You're feeling full, and there's something about feeling full that is so amazing, guys. It's like you're coming from a conversation where you're just feeling like, ah, now I'm recharged, now I'm just you're in a moment of bliss. So find things that give you bliss every single day and do them. So find something, so every single day, do something to love yourself physically. Every single day, do something to love yourself mentally. Every single day, do something to love yourself emotionally. And every single day, do something to grow and love yourself spiritually. That can be going to church. That can be going to the mosque. That can be reading and digesting something religious that gives you some encouragement. That can be you learning more about spirituality in itself, because we have also grown into the idea that you need to know what you need to do, but we're not giving ourselves grace to learn how to do what we need to do. So we are in a space where if you're an adult, you need to know how to grow spiritually, but we have not taken time to actually understand how to grow spiritually. So take time to understand spirituality, learn about it. That can also be a way for you to give to yourself. Learn about it so that you can know now how to appreciate yourself. Yeah, but do something that makes you feel alive every single day. Okay. So with that, we come to the tail end of this particular episode. So this is an episode about self-love. Guys, self-love is important to everyone, to everyone. I don't think self-love is defined by gender. I don't think self-love is constricted to people in a particular area or a particular region or a particular skin color. I think self-love is for everyone, honestly. I think we all deserve to love ourselves, and we might have been cultured into the default setting of hating ourselves. So it's very important for us now to work back from that narrative, because again, in this day and age, there are a lot of us who are going through so much trauma. There's a lot of us who are going through so many negative and toxic environments and situations and experiences. And it's important for us just to sit down and to remove that from ourselves bit by bit through self-love. Because if we do not take that out of ourselves, then we will project it on other people, which is also not good. Again, one of the examples of the world that you live in. If you don't love yourself, you're taking in all this toxicity, and now you're also turning it out because you have not taken the time to notice, first of all, that this is toxicity in itself, and number two, how you can actually take it out of yourself in a very mature and constructive way. And so for you to get to a point where whatever you're giving now is positive and not that negativity. So it's very important for you to understand, first of all, self-love. We're going to do other videos and episodes about self-love, but self-love is not for women only. Self-love is not for people who are abroad only. Self-love is not for people who have money only. Self-love is for everyone, and it's important for you to love yourself, for you to be in a space where you can continuously improve upon yourself and you feel validated within your own feelings, within your own emotions, and you also grow within your own personal space to a level where you can accept love from other people. Okay, we're good. So you have your assignment: love yourself daily. Participate in understanding what self-love means for you, because then again, self-love can be very subjective. There are so many aspects of loving yourself. There are so many ways for people to love themselves that is very different to other people. So take time to understand yourself, do some work on your own self, understand and be aware of what self-love means to you and how you can actually improve upon it. Okay? That's it for today, guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening thus far. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for everything that you've invested just to be here now. And I'll see you in the next episode. Ciao. Adios, muchachos. Peace.